Welcome back. In this video, I want to start building our alert dialog, which is this box here. So there are different ways how we could have achieved to get this box, but I'm just going to use the alert dialog, which is basically a composable that is there to alert a user about something and say yes, no, for example. But in our case, we're going to misuse this little composable to achieve what we have here. So a pop-up box. So unfortunately, not all visual items that we could think of and we need in applications are there out of the box, which is why sometimes you just need to play around with other things that were intended, or composables that were intended for other users, and you can still modify them to your needs and they still work fine. So even though this might be an alert dialog, which is supposed to alert people, but we can use it to retrieve data, store the data, and so forth using state. So I'm going to start with the state of whether the dialog should be displayed or not. So here in my shopping list app, I'm going to start at the very top. I'm going to set up a variable that I'm going to call show dialog, which will basically just maintain the information about whether we want to use or display the dialog or not. So it will contain a mutable state of a Boolean. Nothing more than that. So show dialog. And now if show dialog is true, I want to display the alert dialog. And if show dialog is false, I want to hide it. So let's go ahead and put that into, just underneath our column. So let me go underneath the column. That's right here. And I'm going to put that, you see, I closed it down so that we can see it a little better. So here I'm going to check if show dialog is true, then I'm going to say, go ahead and display my alert dialog. Now, as I said, there is this thing called alert dialog, which is a composable that allows us to display something. So this alert dialog has this on dismiss request. We've seen on dismiss requests earlier where we could make sure that something disappears once we click somewhere else. And we saw that when we were playing around with our, the drop-down menu. So what I'm going to say is very simple. I'm just going to say show dialog should be set to false whenever the on dismiss request is called. Now, in order for the alert dialog to work, I need to add this opt-in for experimental material 3 API. Nani? So the thing is, this dialog is providing all of this cool stuff, but it's still in an experimental stage. As I said earlier, not for everything there is already the code there in Android 14 in this case. So in the future this might change and we will not need to add this import or this line here, which now was added because I used the alert dialog. So it says add opt-in experimental material 3 API. So now we can use alert dialogs. And for simplicity reasons, let's say for now, the only thing that we're going to put in there is going to be a little text. So just to see whether it works. So an alert dialog, beep, 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 is what it's gonna say, okay? And when do we want this show dialog to be true? So that the alert dialog is going to be visible. Well, think about it. If we look back at our UI, when should this thing appear? Well, each time we click on this add item button, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So we have this button and we have this on click, which we never implemented. So we don't do anything when we want, when we click on that button. So I'm just going to say whenever we click on the button, the show dialog variable, which is this beautiful variable that is of type state, will be opened or set to true. Okay. And then the dialog will open because we just say, hey, alert dialog only appear when show dialog is true, which is this if statement does what it does. And then whenever we click away from the alert dialog, which then will trigger this event called on dismiss request, we're going to say show dialog, now you are going to be false, which then internally triggers the alert dialog to be to not be displayed. So basically this if statement then will say show dialog, are you true? And the dialog will say, no, I'm not true, of this variable. And then the alert dialog will not be displayed. So that's how quickly all of this works. I really start loving the Jetpack Compose API more and more. So let me not show you our good friend from earlier, but let's click on add item and we see we get our Amen alert dialog. Now we don't have any AI or UI surrounding it, showing what it's all about and stuff, but we can click away and you see it disappears. There's even a little animation there. Did you see that? There's this little animation which then pops up. It comes from the bottom and then once you click on it, it appears or it disappears towards the top. So that's pretty much our alert dialog in a very simple fashion. Now we're going to design the alert dialog in the next video. So see you there.